Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Todd Fernandez with Climate Crisis Policy, and I'll be your host and facilitator today. I realize in getting started that I usually have a written presentation for all of you for most of these meetings, and that is just the time is not allowing for that kind of preparation for these things. So fortunately, I feel like we're among friends and we all are starting to know each other pretty well. So we can relax some of those formalities. I do prefer having something written out because it helps focus my thought process for the opening and to frame everything. So it may be a little bit more rambling than I would like normally. There are so many meetings and so many conversations going on that it's almost hard to remember who I said what to and where we left off, which conversation and where we begin the next one. So I know that doesn't help clarify anything, but just to let you know, if you're confused, it's not your fault. It's probably been my fault. Things are going exceptionally well in terms of all of our organizing. Everything is in place, really. All the structures and form groups and teams and leads are going very well. Let me look at the agenda I set out so I can all right, so updates of partners. One thing there is that we're partnering pretty tightly, it looks like, going forward with U.S. Climate Action Network. And that's the VICA document. And they want to put parts of that into legislation. And they have a very established system in place for all of that. And they've invited us to help craft their annual meeting in June, which is, a big opportunity to really help the organization and policy strategy and logistics. So that's good news. We're in deep conversations all the time with Felice at Environmental Defense Fund, and they've connected us to a couple new networks. One is sort of being spearheaded by Center for American Progress. And they have a long document that is in here we'll go over of budget ideas, which has also a lot of legislation in it. And so that's a coalition really, but without a formal name, there's some former coalition that was the backbone of that. As you may have heard, Food and Water Watch is coming out with a new bill of some kind soon. They've announced. We knew that was in the works for a while. It's not clear exactly what it's going to cover. It seems like that's going to be part of the Break Free from Fossil Fuels Coalition, which is run by 350, I believe. So that document will be coming out soon. The Green New Deal table, which is Sierra Club and Sunrise and Working Families Party and a host of others, is moving forward with organizing around their Thrive agenda. So they're going to start congressional district organizing on that document, even though it's a general document. I think the US CAN that I just mentioned and the VICA document, they are also going to be moving forward with advocacy around that document. Then also the Evergreen Alliance has come forward with their document about a roadmap to 100% renewable clean energy by 2035. And that document's obviously being pushed a little bit as well because it provides for ways of putting renewable portfolio standards through a budget reconciliation process. They advocate quite in detail. So that document is something we want to look at. Let's see, I think somebody just said in the chat that the Thrive bill is coming out soon. That's the same bill. Oh, no, wait, that's different from the Food and Water Watch bill, I believe. Thrive bill will be different. Evergreen Alliance, which is Jay Ensley's group, is the one pushing for the roadmap to 100% clean renewable energy. We want to keep in mind there that they're differentiating between renewable energy portfolio standards and clean energy standards. And then that document also has a bunch of interesting things I'm not totally familiar with, but essentially you can buy clean energy credits So for utilities that don't reach their mandated goals, there's some sort of trading system for those. I don't know how that pans out in the court of public opinion. I'm sure there are opinions about it. One issue that sort of pops up immediately is that a lot of these ideas are leaving it to the, to private sector or utility companies and others to actually build and implement these goals. And it's not really clear where the government oversight and administration and building and ensuring that it's actually happening and that things are getting built. So, these market mechanisms are one piece of the puzzle, but they might not be enough. So this is part of the level of detail analysis we'll be digging into as we move forward. I'm doing this off the top of my head. The Biden administration, of course, is moving forward on two major fronts, is clear at this point: infrastructure and then budget reconciliation. And so there is a new document also in the email I sent out today that is a sign-on letter called Climate Investment Strategy Coalition Sign-on Letter. That's the one being forwarded around by Center for American Progress and Climate Action Network, which is a loose, unbranded, I guess, group. And I have the names of the parties in that, but not in front of me. See if I could, but a lot of the big organizations are in that as well. So as you can see, I was about the Biden administration. There's a video in the email from another group called the Common Defense Project that is, had a video from the Biden administration's cabinet with Secretary Yellen and Buttigieg and others coming forward to talk about how they're going to embed all these ideas into their work administratively, I assume. I think that's the broader overview, just recap of all the pieces that I'm seeing and hearing and that we are connected to in different ways, at least in communication threads, et cetera. And so this leads to the second part of the agenda, which is the strategy of our role. I just want to go over that a little bit again, because we talked about it a little bit in the electricity meeting, policy sector meeting the other day. And I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same wavelength about this. There are so many moving pieces, obviously, and we're not in charge of the moving pieces. We're trying to play the role of uniter and bridge builder, and importantly, bringing all the information from all of these various efforts into one place. Then so everyone sees what everyone wants. It's unclear to the extent to which all of those disparate groups are going to do direct action type of organizing, or phone banks and letters and all that sort of action stuff, individually even. I'm sure the Green New Deal group will, because it's Sunrise motivated and that's what they do. But it's unclear whether the other initiatives are going to attempt to have outside strategies. And so that's unfortunate, but I keep pushing them in that direction, and we'll see. They're going to work the internal system as it exists, with the political powers following, a lot of them following the lead of the administration and trying to buttress that. As Climate Reality Project is already, you folks know, are going to be mobilizing their vast network on behalf of the infrastructure bill. It's still not clear to me what elements are in that and what it is that everyone's supposed to get excited about and fight for. So, it's always these big insider secrets and rollouts. So the point there, I guess, is that with our efforts, we're not really trying to be players in those arenas with those initiatives at this stage, although we may think about that in the context of our adopted district at work, and which is the other meeting, and see if we can at least share information about what all they have in mind. The the lack of specificity around what their demands are, it makes it really difficult to mobilize grassroots level. So I keep pushing back at them to provide that leadership that we can maybe tag along on. But that's not really our primary function. Our primary function is to, now I see clearly, is to craft this comprehensive quality Earth bill together, and we're well into that journey. And I always ask myself when I'm organizing, what value added are we bringing to this mix? And it's hard to ascertain, frankly, what that added value is going to be in this constantly changing landscape. But we're in the mix, we're in the conversations. And as I said, I hope our role is that of bridge builder and repository of the ideas of everyone, so that by the time we're finished with our journey over the next few months, we will have a document that everyone will be excited to go look at and see their ideas reflected in it, but also we will see, you know, what's not been achieved through these other avenues. What else did I have on that front? So yes, we're going to craft the gold standard scientifically based bill and work to hopefully unite the movement, who at some point might be, they're not disillusioned by now. I don't know what would make them disillusioned, but maybe they'll be disabused of putting all their hope in the internal strategies when they see what comes out of it. We could all be pleasantly surprised, and there could be wonderful things that happen. And I think there will be good things that happen, but everything I'm seeing is about throwing money at a problem. And there's no attempt to ascertain whether all that money is going to have results in any measurable way. So like, who's measuring the greenhouse gas projected impacts from all these ideas? So you get the point that we'll be doing and playing that role. Our own team folks like Project Drawdown and MIT were asking me again, why this initiative as opposed to the others? And I keep coming back to them and saying, well, you can provide input into a sausage making system of making policy and laws, but that doesn't mean that your input is going to be selected, because it will be looked at through a political lens. And we do need to have some document that has not been screened for politics and what's feasible in their minds in this in the next 2 years. And so particularly given the fact that there's no appetite clearly for pushing the envelope and mounting an outside force to force, you know, whatever numbers they think they need. And they're even reluctant to get rid of the filibuster, it seems. So it's unclear how this is all going to play out. But they're clearly not looking for a fight like they had on healthcare. And I understand that it ate up all the oxygen in the first 2 years, and it was, so I understand that strategic decision, but that doesn't help the earth on the timeline that we're on. So that's why we are going to fill in that gap. And I think it is a very important and useful role to play. And we'll see over time how that adds real value. All right. Next on the agenda, I mean, let's ask questions at the end, because, you know, we can get general questions. Let's go through. I wanted to review some of the policy ideas of the OFF Act briefly, and I'll do that in a minute. The Evergreen Alliance, I already talked about it really, that 100% roadmap. And then the depth of our analysis, and then we'll get into some nitty gritty things. Just real briefly on the All Fossil Fuels Act. It's being mentioned again in the US Climate Action Network arena, partly because I brought it up, but there was evidently a lot of appreciation for that piece of legislation back in 1819 when it was filed. And so, you know, it does some remarkable things, which I put a little meme on it in the email that went out today. So it has a 100% clean energy mandate nationwide by 2035, and I think 80% by 2030. And that defines clean energy very narrowly to, you know, solar, wind, geothermal, tidal, and energy efficiency, et cetera, but not some of the more problematic issues that people have, you know, raised, like biomass and nuclear. So it has a very clear standard, and then it works through the mechanism of basically renewable energy portfolio standards. So, that's a great approach in terms of setting the private sector in motion and setting the goalposts and putting them in place. It outlaws basically burning all oil, gas, and coal. It would eliminate fossil fuels in that stream. It bans all new fossil fuel pipelines and infrastructure projects, which is very appealing to everyone working on environmental justice, which is really tied to a lot of pipeline fights and indigenous advocacy fronts. So that appeals to a whole segment of the community, and the United Church of Christ is particularly interested in that as well. Has a remarkable provision for frontline indigenous and people of color groups. It creates a federal council that is empowered with the financial oversight of the disbursement of federal funds in the climate arena. So that would be quite a role of reversal of fortune, so to speak, from taking the folks who have been the most downtrodden in this arena and giving them the power of the purse. It's an interesting idea because it took the Climate Justice Alliance and a lot of groups came around that idea, and because it is directly a financial oversight approach, it could easily fit in a budget reconciliation piece. It stops U.S. gas and oil exports. That's a critical element. That was the law before, and it was changed at some point. And that's a lot of the reason why so many of these pipelines are being built is for export. It ends the tax subsidies, which we have another bill that does that. It has a tax provision for offshore corporate income to fund all of this. I forgot about that. It has strong provisions on energy efficiency and retrofit, which we know are major part of the problem and issue. It has a wonderful economic development program for impacted communities that are going through the transition. So, and that's a critical piece everyone's already on board with. And then it requires 100% zero emission vehicles by 2035 and has new car rebates. And then it creates millions of jobs. So you get the idea. A piece of legislation, even as short and straightforward as the OFF Act, has the potential to really put in place pivots that would really set us on a new path. And so it's not the end all and be all, but I'm highlighting it again because of hearing everybody wanting something faster, newer, faster, and to get into the conversation now and to, but there are no real documents about what people want to get into the system now, except for some of the things we're starting to share that are coming out. And, so we'll see what the bills look like. It may be that the Off Fossil Fuels Act is an interesting option to get it refiled if there's interest among these various parties. And then we could use that as an action element, because this is really what it's all about. We don't know what we're supposed to be fighting for yet. And there's no clarity coming from the leadership on this, which is, remains shocking, frankly. So I'm not sure we'll be able to help provide clarity in the short term on any of this, but that bill is there and we should definitely look at it as we're going into everything. Let's see here. And I already mentioned the Evergreen document. I don't know if there's much more to say, but it just really has a lot of fascinating detail. But again, it doesn't create a federal agency to build and, build the renewables. We can't, they're just leaving it all to the private sector to implement. And that's a scary thought process, because what if it doesn't happen, So there's a certain point where some command and control at work from the federal level is important. And, by slipping in this idea of energy credits, exchange, clean energy credits, who knows what that means in terms of the ability to sidestep the mandates. So I'm sure folks here probably have ideas about all that kind of thing who are more versed in that. We'll be digging into all of this into the electricity sector, of course. All right, so this is the next agenda item, is really the depth of our analysis. Who and how is going to build it, and how are we going to make sure that it happens? So as you're conducting your reviews, be thinking about that next phase. It's very easy to stop at the dream aspiration and throw money, fund everything, but you still don't know who's got the responsibility to oversee the actual building. And so that we need to really keep in our minds as we're going through this, like what does implementation look like? And that can't be an afterthought, really. But it's easy to sidestep that in policy. People seem to like to sidestep that. I had some other thought and I forgot what it was, so I'll come back to it. The next piece on the agenda is just to review the worksheets. Hopefully everybody has opened these worksheets already. If somebody could put them in there and in the chat. Every time I copy something, the links don't copy over into the chat. So somebody could put those 2 documents. And if you haven't opened them, please open them. And let's open them today. Click on them, bookmark them. These are the documents we're going to be living with for the next several months. Just see if Art.
I'm putting them into the chat, Todd.
Wonderful, thank you. I know we have this raise hand function, but let's try it. I've never seen how it works. Oh, there's 50 of us, that's nice. Could everybody raise their hand who's already opened the document? Maybe just a show of hands, or raise them on the computer, but just if you could just show me. It's not so many out of our list here. Let's see the second page. Anyone over on this page already opened them? All right, good. Well, then that's fine. That's good. That's what I need to know. Thank you, everybody. That means we need to open them together. So let's do that. I feel like we've done this in a few meetings already, and I hope it's not redundant. And but this is where we need to go. I'm going to share my screen if Greg can make me able to do that. We did this on the electricity sector, and I'm going to try to join your other sectors as you're scheduling your meetings. That's the most important piece every day. Everybody in a policy sector team, the leads are hopefully already engaged in setting up meetings. So we get to know each other.
Todd, you should be able to screen share.
Yeah, I'm all set here. I just hadn't gotten over to it. Hold on a second. So here's the first one, the Eb Teams Worksheet. And so if everybody could go and open that, and then bookmark it if you can. And you'll see on my screen here at the bottom, it says start here, contacts and materials. And at the top, contact sheet, the very first document, Earth Bill Network contact sheet. And that has all the meeting dates and probably the wrong link to this meeting. I'll go back and fix those. It has all the policy sector leads. It has all the key documents. Essentially has everything that's in this little sheet right here, but it's a standalone document for sharing. And it's just, if you ever get lost, that's the place to go, that network team contact sheet. And then you see the worksheets here listed. And then key links and meetings for everything. The bill packages here. Adopt a district. I have to talk about the bill package and that work to give everyone an update. You get the idea. That's there. And then if you go to a page, I like using electricity because I'm more familiar with it because I'm working in it more. You'll see here at the top of it, it has the legislative team, the Earth Bill Electricity. It has the schedule of meetings. We had one, it's been moved to Tuesdays. Weekly, it has the leads by their various roles, what those roles are about over there to the right. Here it has groups on line 18. So this, as you're coming across organizations that are working in your sector, that you found materials or you are on their listservs or you're getting they're taking action for something related to whatever, you want to include them here. And so some of you, if are leads, the leads can input directly. The rest of us will be we'll have what's that called? Comment status. And so that means you could highlight a section and put a comment in with your information, and then the lead will go and look at that comment and add it to the document. That's just a way of having a little control over the document. And then you'll see below groups are policies. And so here you can see, for example, the Evergreen Collaborative came out with this. That's what they're called, collaborative. And the document is linked here, the roadmap that we just were talking about. There's, we were on a phone call on this, and there's some documents that were prepared for the DNC or for the Biden administration. And the people who prepare those documents are on our electricity team. It's very impressive. And they're gonna put those documents here. The OFF Act is listed here. Note because how I'm gonna, and so you get the idea. As new bills come out that are pertinent to your sector, please list them here, put the link to them. If there's a major organization behind them, like here I would put Food and Water Watch Action, but it was really a much larger group. And then whoever contact email you have for them, and then the status. Todd is in touch. And as we add documents here, you'll be adding documents here. Our legislative working group will be adding documents here. Then we'll look at them together, or your sector will look at them, of course, and you'll say, oh yeah, this document is really important because it covers this and this and this, and we don't have anything on that. And it has this big coalition behind it, and it's going to have movement. Those are the real two reasons: the content, obviously, and then the support behind it, that would lead us to then take this document and insert it into the policy spreadsheet. And then at the bottom, you just note. So if you don't know where anything fits and you saw something that was interesting, just stick it down here for now. And your team will work to move things up into the other areas where it belongs. So this is a really important document. This is where you're going to be working as your group. And this is all about information flow and keeping it organized, because that's the hard part in this morass. The other key document then is the policy worksheet. And I just had a great meeting this morning on this document with our web designer and Rachel Goodgow, who is one of the forces behind our website digest. And so this is the Earth Bill creation worksheet. This is where we're going to collect all the policies that people have, these big moving parts, and we call it digesting them. And this is where they're going to go. So as you know, the House and Senate plans were already done by the same teams that y'all are on. Some of you are new to those teams, but those teams are already at work this past 6 months. And then there'll be new documents added across the top. So I'll just put in, I don't know what section I'm in, but for now I'll just put OFF Act and Thrive, which might be a bill soon, hopefully. THR. And so we've already digested several of these documents. And so I have that list, and our team is working on pulling out into a new spreadsheet all the specific content, the recommendations from those documents. And we will have that in a week or so. And then we will be sharing that with your sector teams. And we will have to manually input the content along where it matches this digest summary, which really is about the website. We should put that here that says website, CCP website, CCP digest summary, website lingo. And so the trick will be to match up, and I think we'll have the information. If you look here on the left, S99, that is the code, the solution code that corresponds to the website. And so we'll just have to match up what we're gonna get from Dylan will look like this for the House plan. We'll have all these ideas here. We call these recommendations that have been digested or excerpted from the larger document. And so he's going to give us this for the off act and other documents, bills that we have. And we're going to have to come in here and cut from that document and paste where it matches this code and this language. So we'll figure, don't worry about this too much. This is the process we're going to be going on together. I'm just giving you a little bit of a coming attractions. And then there are a list of documents that we have not digested. So we're going to tackle those together. Off the top of my head, it's the Pesticides Bill, the Polluter Welfare Act, the Thrive, and the Environmental Justice for All Act have not been digested. So VICA fortunately has been digested, the Farm Systems Bill, the OFF Act, a lot of the bills that we have on the bill digest or the bill package have been. So this is a very important document, obviously. This is where it's all going to go. Though as we go across the rows, MIT will have a row, VICA or USCAN, VICA will have a row. You know, these major players will have a row, and our trick is to invite them. The Evergreen Alliance, we're already reaching out to them through various mechanisms. We'll have a row. So you get the idea, and then we'll see what they say about these same ideas. And hopefully by the time we're done, this will all converge into a common wish list with great specificity, greater specificity than there is in a lot of even these documents. Whew, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, so let's go back to my agenda and see where we are on this. Where's the agenda? All right, we're doing well, we're doing fine. So one piece on the policy front, let me go back to that document for a second. Just so you know, it's really more about the process than it is the document. But you all have your tabs at the bottom. You see where the tabs go. If you squeeze these little arrows, you'll find your section. Some of them are new, like wildlife and plants. So Corey, you're here. This is where you'll be populating your input. State and local support, which we're going to have a little mini presentation on that. So you know what's involved in that. Health, you get the idea. Corporate finance. Yes, that's where we put those fossil fuel risk bonds. Bills by sector, we'll probably come fill that in later. And then the most important thing is the document list. So when you see, this is not critical for you, but where you see in these other sheets that they have D1, D2, D3 referenced, if you want to know what D1 and D2 are, you can come and see that here. And it's very interesting because you can see like this document has all these solutions in it, and then the topics that it covers. This is great. I was on the phone call with Rachel Goodgow today, and you don't know how much I miss Rachel Goodgow. We've done an incredible job filling her immense shoes, though, that's for sure, and we've much broader power because of it. So it's wonderful. But she was sort of the rock that made it all simple for me. And so when she's done with this school, we're going to have her back, hopefully, probably closer to April. So the other piece about this that I want to touch on is the climate bill package. And so, as you know, there are 9 bills in the climate bill package. 1 already passed, check. And there's a whole document where we're adding more legislation that's out there. And so for you guys, you're going to put that information here under policies in your sector. And then we will take any bills that are here and add them to this other more complicated discussion document. And at the same time, I don't know if Art was here with us today. Art Mutsovo, I can't pronounce his last name. I've known him as a good friend for many years. We have a group of lawyers finally coming together and to help oversee the legislative flow of everything that's coming in. The bills are going to be, there's just piles of bills, really. And that's obviously not a plan to save a planet. It's a morass of confusion. So we're going to have to be really mindful of how we handle that because it's so complicated. And I keep pushing back at these other coalitions and saying to them, what are your list of top priorities? Give us that list. At least somehow we got to, narrow this down to actionable set of demands. And so I'm just sharing this to let you know that that team is forming. If you know any lawyers or very experienced policy teams, or just if you're a real whiz at legislation and you love this kind of thing and you want to help, let me know. We're getting it pretty well staffed up, but I think we could use 2 or 3 more people on that. And they will be managing the flow of the bills from you to them and from other sources to you. And hopefully that will start to kick in and we will have, clarity in that flow, because it's going to be a journey for us to add additional bills to the bill package. Last 6 months, we spent we had a lot of meetings, and we would have the leaders on those bills come forward and teach what was in those bills. And then we would sort of reach consensus. We did. And we want to continue that journey. But keep in mind that those bills in the bill package are just like I describe it as training wheels. We're using those bills because they have to teach us how to work together across policy sectors and to have something that we can use to, draw on the activists. So you meet somebody who cares about the bees and pesticides or food and their children eating pesticides. And you're like, well, great, there's a bill for that in our package. And if somebody cares about the animal farms, or you get the idea. And so that's a very important piece of the puzzle, really, in terms of building our ground game and our network in the many district coalitions that are going to be able to push harder for these ultimate big demands. And so that's how it's going to go. But don't get too attached to any of those bills. We're still working to figure out which ones are being refiled, pieces are being merged into other bills. Like I say, this is a disorganized morass of legislation. And so that's unfortunate because it makes it almost impossible to mobilize the grassroots and outside pressure without greater clarity and specificity as to the demands. But anyway, that's the problem we're all here to try to help solve. And Art, was Art here? Do we see? Let me just stop sharing.
No, Art is not here as far as I can tell.
All right. Well, we were on the phone late last night working on this. It's fine. And as I say, the web designers are working on this. So I think that covers a lot of the general stuff. Soon we'll be sending out the specific documents. And I think the Thrive agenda is going to cross all of your sectors. If somebody says the new bill's coming out on Thrive, we might hold off on digesting Thrive. But we should really start to become familiar with it, and hopefully the bill's going to match it. We're educating ourselves and getting ready for those in-depth reviews. So some of these bills fit cleanly into certain sectors, some others don't. Now we need some help on some leadership and some policy sectors. And that's what we're going to do next. Have a presentation from Steve about local and state team. He needs some help. And then the food, farm, and ag sector really needs more help. It was very well staffed, and there's been a whole series of reasons why it's less well staffed. No bad reasons, just people moving in different directions. And so we're looking for the right organizational leaders, So we're doing this ourselves, obviously, but we're looking all the time for the organization that is passionate about whatever piece of your sector. So you're always looking for them and to bring them in and get their input into this process. That's really our mission, because that's the process through which we're going to build the unity that will result in collective action, hopefully. So we need leadership in local, state, family, farm, and ag. And we're working on environmental justice. And NAACP has agreed to provide input there, but they're busy staffing up too. And so it'll be a little bit before we have their full attention. And so we really would like to find activists from those communities, ideally, but it's not necessary, But if you really have deep inroads into that work, or your organization does, please let me know if you'd like to help liaison and facilitate that with me at this stage, because that's just one of those areas where we're working on cultural elements. Same with indigenous, but we have that in the works. Thank you, Jeffrey. Hi. Steve, where are you? Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Great. If you could spotlight Steve for a minute, Greg, and just Steve is working on the local and state support. And the basic idea he'll tell you, though, is figuring out how the federal government is going to support all the local plans. And this is a very important piece, obviously, and it shows up in a few things. So go ahead, Steve, just real quick, a pitch for your to join your important work.
Okay. So where the work meets the road is in the local population. The communities are emitting half or 3/4 of the greenhouse gases in the country. And there presently are more than half the US population and half the GDP that are committed and presently reducing their emissions. There's a whole variety of programs called America's All In or America's Pledge or 100% Commitment or Mayor's Pledges. And this represents a couple of thousand cities, regions, counties, businesses that presently have action plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And their goal is to reach 50% reduction by 2030 and net zero by 2050. The problem is they can't do it fully on their own, but they can do remarkably well. I have personal experience. I created one of these. It's called Middletown for Clean Energy. And we've projected that we have a plan, energy plan, that will reach 38% emission reduction by 2030. And I was looking at Bloomberg's reports about America's Pledge, and it's almost exactly identical, independently, but identical. They are expecting to reach 38% by 2030. The problem is we need to get the extra reach to reach 50% by 2030 and to get net zero by 2050. So so my team right now is working on identifying our requirements from federal regulation to get to our goal. The Bloomberg organization has issued documents that you can examine. The requirements for federal are in there, but they're not identified explicitly and should be pulled out. So what is needed is a group of people in this team that identifies. I would start first with the America's Pledge documents. Identify the requirements, and those are the requirements that the people doing the work need to have met by the federal legislation to complete their work. And it's a huge section of the population working right now, and they have requirements. We just need to draw them out and make them visible. So that's the goal of the local city state group, to identify their requirements to do their work, because that is where the emissions are originating.
Wonderful, Steve. This is very exciting. Okay, so please, everybody, if you'd like to help Steve with that work, can you put your name in the chat? And Christine will get your name. We can also use the documents. Let's go to the Teams worksheet. I mean, you all can't access it all, everyone. So for now, do that in the chat. But I'm just going to go to the and share this document again. Screen share. And just show you what we would do with what we just heard. So we would scroll along the bottom until we find State Local Support tab. There it is. Oh yeah, it's been formatted. For all of you who don't know Christine Key, our amazing leader and organizer, and just without whom none of this would be a mess and we would all be lost. Christine, I'm sure you're here, right? I can't believe I didn't start by acknowledging you and making sure everyone sees you. We'll make sure we do that. So here for example, so Steve, I don't know if you want to do it, if you're in the document with me.
I am.
Well, go ahead and then, so under policy, source, type in what you just said, the American Pledge, whatever. Let me get out of this field.
Okay, where is,
So like on line 23 or even,
Oh, of course.
yep, there you are.
Yeah.
And you're going to type,
Oh,
so you'll
I
see,
will.
folks, he's going to start inputting information there. And this is exactly what you do, because we have these great ideas. Y'all have vast amount of information in your heads. We need to get it down on paper. So he'll start typing that, and you get to see basically how that will work. And the status, and so the status will probably be being digested by T.
So this is, I just entered one major document, delivering on America's pledge.
Wonderful. So I'm not sure, the source would be the group, and then the document would go under name of document.
Let me fix that.
Yeah, no worries. This is how we're going to learn this together.
There you go.
Bravo. And then the source is some major group, right? Bloomberg or whatever you said, or.
Yeah.
And then if you have contacts there, if you don't have contacts, we should be working on finding the contacts. So your team will work on that. And we have leads in this arena. The legislative lead, if we get those, for Steve right now, he's going to be all these pieces. But we'll have other legislative folks helping, so not to worry. But if within your sectors, particularly the bigger ones, you want to fill out these roles. And so, for example, if a policy gets in here, the legislative lead, legislative policy, that's the same thing, bill package, these are all the bills and laws. They would go and find out the source, and find a contact source email. And then that would be part of the outreach. So you get the idea, I'm sure. I don't want to be too basic about it all, because it's a little straightforward, but I don't think it hurts for us to start from the beginning, since that's where we are in the process. All right, so there you go, a great document already in his team. And if you've joined it, you're going to start reading that document, and you'll start meeting, and you'll start digesting it into certain things. So which documents are actually going to be digested into the policy worksheet? We'll be deciding that collectively. So get them in there, start studying them, and your team will say, this is a critical document. And we'll take a look, and we're like, yeah, that's obviously a critical document. We should digest it. Hopefully there are not going to be tons of, well, anyway, there's going to be more documents. Let's see. What was next? Oh, so did anybody, let me stop sharing and see how many volunteers we got. Did we get volunteers to help? Yay, good. Okay, wonderful. Look at Catherine, you cannot help Steve Miller. No, no, no. You are way too busy running the electricity sector. So I'm going to intervene and beg you not to. I know how busy you are and other things. So if you're not already running another sector or involved in another sector, that's when you get to volunteer for this. And there's another piece of this local state stuff. There's the issue of federal preemption that Lisa's been bringing up from, and so we just want to make sure that something gets in there about that. There has to be some analysis out there about this question. So you'll see there'll be more things like this that will come up within those contexts, within those subsector areas. All right, let's see. It's almost 1 o'clock. We still have 50 of us hanging in there. How's everybody doing looking in the documents? Catherine, do you agree with me that you're too busy? Shake your head, yes? Okay, all right. So sweet to keep putting yourself on the chopping block like that, but don't. We have to protect all of our sanity. Let's see. All right, so the agenda, back to the agenda. And I want to thank Ona, who's doing the creative work. Am I messing up your name again? I'm sure I am.
No, you got it.
Oh, Ona. Oh, good. Off the top of my head, too. You have no idea. Names are my Achilles heel, and they seem to come out lately when I need them. Hallelujah. She's creating another artistic rendering of our meeting today. So that's exciting. Timeline. We're fine on timeline. It's like we have our own timeline essentially, and but that means hurry up. That really means hurry up, because it would be lovely. So we're looking at a few things in terms of timeline. The April Earth Day week, I mentioned this before, but I think it bears repeating. I think we're gravitating toward the idea of having a report back. Maybe we'll condense all 17 sectors into, plus the network, into the morning, and then the afternoon, we're thinking maybe to invite all these hubs of coalition organizing, similar to what we did before, but we're not going to invite just groups and individual groups, just the entities, the coalitions that are working behind bills. So you get that idea. I started to list all of them in the email that went out that I'm talking to or aware of. Oh, what happened? Sorry. And I was going to copy them and paste them, but I've lost now where I am about today's meeting. Here it is. Agenda. There's so many, but I'm going to go ahead and copy them and hopefully they'll paste into here. We want to make sure we have our ear and eyes on all these big centers of organizing. So have a look at that list. To the extent that it's you have other ones that you're aware of, please send them along. We're just building a magic web. You could put some of them in here if you have in the chat, but it's hard for us to excerpt that from the chat. So if you do, if somebody could grab whatever comes in there. So timeline, April, if we feel like it. I'm hedging a little bit because Earth Day initiative, or there's a couple of them called Earth Day, I forget which is which, but one that we're working with is Earth Day. And they have an all-day symposium essentially with all, headliners and whatnot. They got 500,000 people last time, they tell me. And then on the second day, there's going to be a virtual exhibitor space, which sounds fascinating. And I'm going to need some help to staff that. But it's some sort of creative space where you walk around, and then when you approach something on your computer, a Zoom window will pop up automatically. And it's like you're standing at a booth talking to whoever came up to your booth. So this is interesting new technology. And I've said we'll participate, but I'm already getting emails that are overwhelming me about it. So I might need some help there. If somebody likes that kind of thing, you would basically be like, if you ever done a booth at a convention and chit chat about what we're doing. So you really need to be in the know and like talking to people. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out, but so if you're interested in that kind of interactive fun thing, if you know any young people that might be interested, or any young people in our group, it might be interesting for them to lead that. So we're thinking maybe to squeeze in our day on like Wednesday before the Earth Day Climate Summit that the president is holding. So we'll see, that's in discussion. And then because we have this opportunity with US Climate Action Network in June, we're hoping to have a lot of content in that. And maybe that will be a place where we're doing really more in-depth policy sector report backs about where everything looks like on our fancy spreadsheet. And then there's a big health symposium and conference that we're trying to get a spot on. So in this arena, if you could keep your ears out for big conferences that are coming up or that are in the works where you think we should plug in, I think that's what we need to start doing. I say, you can hear the hesitancy in my voice because it's the schedule, it's going to be a lot, but that's all right. That's the game we're in now, spreading the word and inviting everybody to the party, and educating and teaching about the solutions. And so then by August, the plan is that we will be in really great shape with our Earth Bill outline at least. And we're partnering, the plan is to partner for a pre-conference with Netroots Nation to present that to the broader world of progressive organizations. So that's the vague timeline. And then there's always this question of what can we crystallize around in the nearer term. And but we're not looking to force that because our whole paradigm is we're looking to build consensus through education, through a journey together. And if we try to force decision-making early on in that journey, we'll find ourselves embroiled in the same kinds of conflicts that keep everybody from being together already. So it's a little bit of a quandary there. And so I'm still hoping that leadership will materialize that we can follow, that we like. And There's another piece of that in April. It looks like there's going to be an adopted district push in April. So this is for our other Wednesday meetings conversation generally, but please, if you haven't adopted your district, please do. If we're going to be coming out with more information about that. Meryl is going to help us identify key states to target, and she's got a list of 5 states that we're working on around Illinois. So if you're in the states around Illinois, and you could help her find people, that would be wonderful. Rachel Macliffe, you're already on her target list of people who can help in Minnesota. And so you get the idea. We're going to narrow in a little bit on certain states, but the idea and try to find leads to help us find people to adopt the district in those states. So that's going to be a very focused effort over the next couple months. So April is starting to shape up like, if we don't have our symposium, if we do, we'll see. But we would have a big lobby push, basically probably a get to know you level, but we would have a bill package, of course. The Unitarian Universalists are probably going to take lead on that. And the faith team's talking about that. And we're meeting with other faith groups to coordinate around that. So it looked like that might be a faith-driven thing, hopefully. And but nevertheless, we'll do it too. And it'd be lovely if we could, aim for 250 districts to be adopted by April. We're already close to 100, I think. And just to get that ground game muscle in motion. And there will be action happening before that and around that. So hopefully there'll be clarity as how we'll plug in to those other initiatives. One thing I didn't mention, oh yeah, I did mention, the second half, if we do something in April of our, would be those coalitions. I already said that. So anyway, it's a lot, isn't it, everybody? But how's everybody feeling? Okay, I know that different groups, so if you're a policy sector lead, if you could raise your hand, are you in motion setting your meetings, setting up your first meeting? Jeffrey and I've already met. Jonathan, I know, I've seen health in motion. I know electricity's in motion.
Stuff out of the,
Anybody else that's a lead that's?
Robert, what do you want us to do?
Regina, I know, Land, Water, and Forest is meeting. Christine C., it's good to see you here. This is the policy sector. Christine C. is with Extinction Rebellion. And I might as well share this update too. We've been deeply working with Fridays for the Future. And this is the youth group that I believe is Greta Thunberg's local affiliation in the United States. And they're very excited, and they're thinking about creating their own parallel adopted district framework to coincide with ours. And so we'll actually be bringing materials to you from Fridays for the Future, so you can invite your grandchildren and other children in your lives to the extent you want to. I'm very conflicted about involving children in this concern, but these are some of the smartest, best organizers I've ever met. I can't believe how brilliant they are. It's really shocking. And but nevertheless, so the thought process there is to have a monthly direct action. They want to combine with the direct action groups. And so, because that's essentially what Fridays for the Future does. And so Christine, I want to get you plugged into them if that's of interest, Christina, and to think about, how to set that up and, when to convene that. Because we want to start building that muscle too, finding out who the direct action organizations are around the country, getting them into a list. If you have direct action organizations in your communities, if you could start thinking about that and who that does that, and you can initiate outreach to them and see if they participate, or you can just give us that information. Somewhere we have a tab with that, but for now, just collect that information and we'll figure out where to put it. We definitely want to build that up simultaneously. Christine, do you want to say anything briefly about your thoughts there? I know I've got you on the spot, and this is really a policy sector meeting, not adopted district or the other sectors, but since you're here, it's lovely to see you.
Sure. I think you kind of pointed on it before. Once, it's hard to kind of mobilize people before we have targeted asks to mobilize around. And so I think, like, as you were talking about, as this kind of grows and gets to a point where we can really bring people on at a bigger scale. That to me is like the key piece for the mass mobilization and or direct action aspect of it. And
Yeah.
also I can be involved in the food and ag policy, as I have a background in food systems and food policy.
Oh, yay. Okay. Oh, and in the chat, if other people could volunteer for food and ag, did you, Christine, maybe saw that? Christine Key, there's Christina C and Christine Key, just so you are all adequately confused.
Just so we can challenge you, Todd, right? The Christines are challenging you.
Well,
Yes,
once
I'm making a note as they're doing that and putting it in the worksheet.
All right, so you got Christine
Thank
Key for food and ag. If anyone else is food and ag, please say it in the chat. I sent a very important message once to Christine Key that was intended for Christina C, and it set in motion a whole calamity of drama before the symposium. Oh, that was so funny. And I'm like, wait a minute, I sent you an email. She's like, I didn't get it. I went back to look. I'm like, oh, I sent it to the wrong one. That was funny. Not funny, but interesting. All right, let's see. Any other, I think at this point, Q&A. Oh, go ahead. Somebody was about to say something?
Yeah, Robert, from like, I really am not super clear what's going on, but I was kind of the de facto food and ag person. And then there was a plant-based subsector of that who was communicating with me, who decided to pass on it because she was like busy. And then a few people have been direct messaging me, and I will gladly take that food and ag sector, and have already have contact with Senator Booker's office, but I'm not just super clear on what's expected of me. And so people are direct messaging me saying that they want to participate in it, but I'm not sure like where the participation is going to go to.
All right, Robert, what's your last name?
Schwartz.
Schwartz. Okay, yes, I thought so. I just, because there's so many Roberts, and I knew the email thread with Andrea about this. And so I put you down on the spreadsheet. We could go back to the spreadsheet. The team spreadsheet, we will now.
So I've looked at the food and ag and the spring type in the spreadsheet, and it takes me to a link of what looks like a slideshow presentation.
Well, which spreadsheet are you talking about? That's I don't know what the slideshow is, but I don't see the food and ag in the teams. Where is it?
He might be talking about the policy worksheet, Todd, where we have the presentations linked. He's probably in the wrong one.
Uh-huh. And I'm in,
Yeah, I believe
I'm
she
in
is
the
correct.
teams.
What is your name?
Yeah.
Who just spoke?
Christine.
Hi, Christine.
That's Christine Key.
Hi,
She's
Robert.
our fearless leader of all of this. So she and you and I maybe could connect on this and we could just help convene the first meeting of the farm ag people from everyone who's been expressed interest. Why don't we do that, Christine? If you don't mind, go ahead
Sure.
and initiate a Google thing for that team, for everyone who volunteered today. And let's set up a time to talk. So Robert, if we separated out plant-based from food and ag because there could possibly be differences of opinion about some of these issues within that broader constituency. So we wanted to make sure the plant-based stuff didn't get watered down because of any, farm ag perspectives related to that topic. But it's really, can all be part of the same group as long as we, have somebody specifically focused on that.
Well, the
So
three things that Senator Booker is working on are completely reasonable by any stretch of the imagination. And I mean, that's fine. We can separate that out, but I don't, me and Andrea work in complete agreement.
Right. I mean, you and Andrea are the separate out from there are other opinions within the farm and communities about this whole issue of meat and how to handle it. So we just got to make sure that we are sensitive to that as we're moving forward. And we're going to put all the documents. What Cory Booker has done is a very beginning stage, really. And there's a lot missing. So we're really going to have to focus on that, what's missing. I don't want to get into substance on things, but for example, in the farm and ag arena, there's a lot of funding for voluntary, regenerative practices, but nobody's talking about mandates on big ag to force them to use regenerative practices. And because small farmer associations don't like mandates in government. So we just have to think that we could create a line says if you own X number of acres, whatever that line is, and or X percent of number of profits, however big you are, somehow or another find criteria that differentiate between small family-owned farms, et cetera, and the big ones. And but there's seems to be a complete reticence to talk about mandates in this arena. And without mandates, you cannot calculate how fast we're going to turn X number of acres into carbon sinks, so we don't have timelines, and we need timelines because this is a race against time. So anyway, you get the idea. We'll dig into all this more in those sectors, but it's a common thought for everybody's sector.
Todd,
So
sorry.
Yeah,
Todd, sorry to interrupt really quick. I know someone who knows this area really well who may want to help. Whom should she contact? You or Christine, or who should she get in touch with?
Well, can you send an email introducing me and Christine to her? Christine Key. Christine Key.
Sure. But I don't have Christine's email.
Oh, how could that possibly be true? You must get a million emails from her. All right. Well, Christine, if you could put your email in the chat, everybody.
Coming at you, Sheldon.
Sheldon, thank you.
Wonderful. So we'll build this out and we'll try to pull that together, meeting together soon, and then we'll get it staffed up and figure out what roles everyone's interested in playing. Thank you so much, Robert, for being in that. Where are you, Robert? What state are you in?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm in Oregon.
Oh, wonderful. Oregon is my new favorite state, I have to say.
Yes, it should be.
Colorado's up there.
See how beautiful it is here today.
Well, that's good to hear too, but I'm just talking about the activists and the action coming out of there. It's unbelievable. All right, any other questions? Don't be shy.
I want to ask Lavona to handle the stack. So if you have a question or a comment, just put stack in the chat and she'll keep track of who's got something to say.
I have a question. Monica from materials. Yeah, I'm on the materials sector with Rachel.
So you can be the baby.
Hello?
Dad, and I will be the baby.
Go ahead. If everybody could unmute yourself if you're not talking. Whoever
Yes.
those sweet children. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is, so I've been analyzing this breakthrough from Plastic Pollution Act for many months, and we see that there should be some improvements on it. And I'm really frustrated because I don't know where to go with that.
Well,
and you mentioned that you have some legislative people, some attorneys. Can we work with them to revise the bill? I mean, I don't know if we should talk to the state senators, the federal senators, because they both have bills going on, or should we just work within this CCP? So
yeah, that's a tough one, Monica. I mean, I think you've already shared with Judith Weiss and others, maybe, I forget all the names involved, but
yes,
ideas and issues, and hopefully that those are being addressed. We have not decided to try to insert ourselves into bill revisions because to me, all of them have big things missing. So I think our power, we don't have that kind of influence at this stage. And I think once we reach the end point, and they've all made their decisions and their compromises before they got to the legislative fight, really. And they have 100 supporters, and whatever, I don't know what the problems are, but it'll depend on what they are. If there are some technical fixes that could fix things, and you have those, you come across those, I think it's fine to share those ideas with anyone you're in touch with.
It's a huge policy issue, which I really feel strongly about because it's going to impact other sectors, and I think it needs discussion. I'd love to have a brainstorming group or somebody, because at this point I'm really frustrated. I feel like we're not making any progress, even talking to Beyond Plastics and all the other organizations. We don't feel heard.
Well, yes, I understand entirely that situation. it's, you know, these are lockdown systems that we're trying to break into that have insider strategies, and people have been working in these fields forever. They've made up their minds. I got an email from somebody today saying, well, it doesn't matter if we have a better bill because it won't pass the Senate. I've never heard such capitulation without a fight. And so, you know, there are fighters and then there are policy wonks. And these people are not the same, you know, and so this is the quagmire we're in, Monica. And I think that there's going to be, first of all, I wouldn't get too worried about any of these bills passing. You know, 100 votes is not going to cut it right away. And everyone else has other priorities, clearly. So I think you have more time than we realize. And that's why if by April, May, we have a very clear set of what's missing across sectors, and you're saying your idea applies across sectors, maybe then we would have something we could put into a document and deliver to all these relationships. But we're talking with people who have their minds made up.
But we don't need to do any more research on it because it's already apparent to us. It's just kicking a dead horse at this point.
Well, I mean, feel free to send your thoughts along to me and I'll look at it.
Okay.
But I don't think we have that kind of influence. I mean, the Plastics Coalition has been particularly independent and our attempts to bring them into the fold. And so, you know, they're making a go of it on their own. If I thought any of these bills and ideas had enough power behind them, we wouldn't be going through what we're going through, which is to try to unite across sectors. It's so important. It's fundamental strategy that's involved in all this stuff we're doing has one goal: unite us across sectors so we actually have political power. And right now the insiders are playing whatever they think they can push through. So
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I know that's not a great answer, but that's the lay of the land.
We're just
Yeah, I know.
frustrated. We'll work it.
Yeah, who's next?
I don't see anybody in the stack quite yet, but earlier there was a question or suggestion about could we have like a matrix that had the bills that are being introduced and where they sort of line up against it. If you were the person who added that, maybe you could expand on it.
So there are various matrices and lists. If I'll share this document. It's a public document. It's on all of our materials, but I'll show you discussion summary of U.S. bills. You'll see that if you go to, you know, those preliminary start here pages where it has all materials and whatnot, and you scroll down till you see adopted district, you'll see the this document, which I'm about to share. If it opens for me to share. And it's a good document for you to take a look at, frankly, because it could very well have bills relevant to your sectors. And they'll be adding to this. It's right now it's a mess because Attell and I are both inputting, or she is mostly at this point. And then at the top of this document, which I can open with you, let me go to screen share real quick and I'll show you something. So here's the federal climate bills discussion list. This should be bigger because this is really the most important thing. Discussion list, new bills. And it's a little bit organized by sector, I think. And then you see all these comments that are being added because it tells, I gave her a comment. And so all new bills are being added here. The Clean Futures Act, by the way, has already been digested in the, and that's going to be a relevant document. Representative Pallone spoke about this, and he mentioned that particular bill being relevant. I don't know why it's over here because I think, oh, we digested it, but we haven't added it to the bill package. So that's why it's over here. We're going to be looking at that. At the top of this document it says, note, another big list. And I'll just go ahead and open it and show you. This list, interestingly enough, is being created by the Coalition of Health Professionals, Gary, that it tells, you know, and you are talking about and connecting with. And see here, so it's organized by sector: climate adaptation and resilience. All these bills, just on that one topic. Then if you scroll down, here's, I guess that's all that same topic. Didn't change topic. Here's another: integrating climate change and health. Well, since it's a health coalition that did this, that makes sense. Waste management. So the materials waste and recycling people should come and look at these bills. But it looks like they're covering their Florida shores. So these are, you get the idea. There's so there's more bills than you could ever get your head around. And this is the huge sort of the problem. If I just scroll down, you can see it goes for a while. And this is a highly staffed professional organization that has the staff to transportation, greenhouse gas reduction. You should definitely look at this if you're for your sectors. But as you can see, it's overwhelming. And that's the problem. So that's why we're not starting exclusively with bills, but rather the bills that have mojo behind them and movement and activism behind it. Because anybody can file a bill, but to pass a bill is a whole nother thing. And there are just too many. It's ridiculous. This is no way to save a planet. No way to save a planet. I'm sorry to get upset about it, but every time I look at those lists, it just infuriates me again.
So someone asked about what was the name of the organization again, that you were just on that spreadsheet on health?
Oh, goodness. I don't think they even put their name on this document. So I have to get that. But if you're in the health team with Gary, you'll be seeing about this, not about this particular document, but about that group, I think. I forget the name of it. I'm sorry. It's a long name.
Okay, and there was a question about where do we get to that link, I think for the discussion summary spreadsheet?
Yes, so if you, am I still screen sharing? No.
No.
Let me re-screen share again. I'm going to take you to the most important tab on anything. That's the Teams Worksheet. The Teams Worksheet. Oh, I don't know what's going on. And then if you, at the very beginning of it, it says, start here, contacts and materials. And it's already scrolled down to a bill package. So the first one is the 2020 bill package. Those are the bills that are already in the package. That's the video. The second one is the bill summary of those bills, which is a detailed, all about it. Then the third one is bill discussion list. So I could change this and say new bills.
Great.
There you go. So that's where you can see it. So everything you need is always back in this Teams worksheet, contacts and materials. If you have any questions about anything, it should be there. And hopefully the links to today's meeting will get fixed. And if you have any confusion about the meetings, you will know where to go. Any other questions?
I don't see any in the stack.
Yay. I mean,
Someone did ask earlier, quite a bit earlier about, they said, I thought the coalition team was going to meet, question mark. And I think they meant today. If you, working kind of back and forth group.
All right. Well, so I know there's been confusion about the meeting schedule, and that's all on me. We started out with this ambitious, crazy schedule, and then we've scaled it back to sanity. Plus, a lot of this work happens in between meetings. So these meetings are interim, and they're designed to bring everybody up to the same wavelength, make sure, and then we get back into our individual groups for the work. There is, at this stage, there's really no coalition team, and that's meeting. So the fourth Wednesday of the month is the network, finalizing our principles and agreements, and then adopted district updates and all that big push. So that'll be in the last Wednesday, the fourth Wednesday, which is week after next, I think, or I don't know, a week from this Wednesday maybe. And we'll just go over all those aspects there. So everyone's encouraged to attend both of those, this meeting and that meeting, to be fully up to speed on everything.
Sure.
And we definitely want you to adopt a district. In terms of the coalition goals, that remains a goal, but it's not like a challenge that we're taking on, but we're really going to, pull in the pieces of this puzzle gradually. And so coalitions are joining on sectors. We're networking with all those other efforts that I listed. So you get the idea, and over time that might crystallize, but that really needs to be led by those coalitions, not us, and we can participate. So that's the trick, getting them to agree to want to do that.
We have one person in the stack, Regina Cornwell.
Hi, Regina. Welcome back. Hi. Well, not welcome back, but hello. You're always here.
Unmute. Okay. Hi, Todd. Hi, everyone. I wondered if we have questions that may not pertain to the whole group, could we stay on for a couple of minutes afterwards to ask you some things? Todd?
Sure. of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Feel free to email me any coalitions that you guys come across. Not just coalitions, mind you, but coalitions that are working on federal legislation. It's very specific. That doesn't narrow it down, it doesn't seem like, but it does some extent. For now, just email them to me, but you can also put them in your policy sector where it says groups. So that would be ideal. But if they're really big coalitions that are across the board, something that don't fit in your policy sector, go ahead and send me those emails. And then I would just generally note to please refrain from emailing me generally at this point, if you can, because I'm not going to be able to get back to your emails. So email your sector lead, email if it's a sector question, email your Christine if it's a general question about our policy sector work. Yeah, just, I mean, if it's something really important, send it to me. If it's, but I'm a little bit swimming in emails lately, and I'm afraid it's going to get worse. I don't know how really important people deal with their emails. I'm nobody and I can't keep up. Livona's put her email, like I say, if you go back to this first tab, start here, contacts, that contact sheet has everybody's email and who heads up what. So please try to focus your email correspondence in that way. Go ahead. Oh, you wanted to ask questions after. Okay, any other, there's 2 other raised hands, I think.
Yeah.
Raised hands. Rachel and Jonathan, I guess Jonathan. Or Rachel, did you ask a question?
Yes, I just want to know, there's a general agricultural policy sector in our documents. Is there someone in charge of that now? Did someone have to drop out? Is there a sector lead for that?
Yeah, we've just reconstituted that a little bit. We some minor pieces dropped out, and then there's been some restaffing at Family Farm, and so we're going to restaff it up and lead it ourselves, and then have the organizations that are out there, plug in, as opposed to asking.
Oh, so I don't have to worry about that, because I had a little bit of trade stuff that are good. Then I'm not going to worry about it at all. Okay.
No, just focus on the trade thing, which is wonderful that you've done.
So the next
Anyone
person
else?
is Jonathan Brady.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, Todd. Hi, everybody. Quick question, and I have looked for this information, so sorry if it's a dumb question. Is there a list somewhere of the districts that have already been adopted versus districts that are, lingering out there?
Yeah, we're working on, Greg and Brenna are working on that list and clearing it up. And we got a lot of people who signed up for that, who in the general volunteer, and I forgot to ask people's district. So we're having to go back to them. But that list will be, there is, and it's a public document. I don't know if we have it over here on this list, but we'll be clarifying that and making sure that list is more visible and available, because we're going to use that list so we can figure out which ones are missing and which states are missing. And we're going to make a collective push, hopefully, to fill in that network.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question. And Jonathan, do you want to just say quickly a couple notes about the exciting relationships you've done with the marketing front and the hackathon in the works?
Yeah, sure. Since you ask, I'll talk for a couple minutes or maybe 45 seconds. So I'm working with the marketing team to try to build awareness, but also to harness the energy and the potential of the marketing and communications and advertising industry, right? Because they have a lot of the talent. They also represent a lot of companies, both good and bad companies, right? Fossil fuel companies, as well as companies that represent renewable energy and more sustainable kind of industries. So we're working with there's a trade association group called the 4 A's. So that's the Advertising Agency Association of America. So basically every ad agency you've ever heard of is a member of the 4 A's. And we're looking to put together a climate congress sponsored by the 4 A's, where we would bring together some keynote speakers, some panelists, and then we would also like to have what is called a hackathon, where you give cross-disciplinary teams a problem to solve. In this case, the problem would be, how do we, as an advertising industry, how do we get the word out, number one, about the climate crisis writ large, but number two, for our purposes, as as the Earth Bill ask coalesces and sharpens, and we've got something that we really want to mobilize people around, how do we harness the power of the advertising and marketing industry to get behind that, whether that's at the individual practitioner level or more productively, probably at the big agency level, to get some of those creative juices and some of those dollars, frankly, supporting the efforts of both our group and the coalitions that we're working with. So we've got probably 3 or 4 or 5 agencies now that we're working with to draft the agenda for that Congress. And then we're gonna go back to the 4As probably beginning or second week of March to say, here's an agenda that we put together. You know, can you give us the green light? So that's where we are.
Yay. And that part makes me so happy. You have no idea. We've been dreaming of this for a while now. So that it's coming together inch by inch is very exciting. All right, any other questions? And then we can always stay on for a few minutes and ask, you know, like sort of nitty gritty questions that folks don't feel like are necessary for the whole team. And everyone's welcome to do that. And just, I guess, thank you all. I can't believe.
Maybe we should share what Ona has done. To share Ona's artwork.
Oh, please, yes, do that first. Yes, come on, let's do that. So spotlight, thank you, Greg, apologize. Oh, look at it. Ona, you want to take us through it again?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, yeah. So we started with the update. I listed the documents that you went over, highlighted, you know, the main ones. Then we move into what our strategy is, you know, bringing efforts all into one place, hopefully 120 districts adopted by April. The bridge here in the middle is just an image to show that overall we're moving towards a gold standard Earth Bill. Unite the movement, keep the information flowing, you know, updates on our digest. As new bills come, add them to your sector, invite others. Our timeline is basically hurry up, draw in the activists, keep it going. And yeah, I think I just did high level feeling of what today is, what's happening as of today.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, there's more in there, but have a gander.
Yeah, there's a thing, there's a toolbar in the middle of it that maybe you could slide out of the way.
Oh yeah, let's see.
All right, well, this is fun. It's exciting. Oh, we were gonna have a song today. I forgot all about it. Maybe it's too late. Anne, did you wanna? Well, anyway, this is beautiful, Ona, and thank you so much for this.
And this will be available for us to use however you see fit.
All right, and I want to send this one in the last, I got to remember to send these out when I send the next, you know, updates. I'm not sending as many general meetings emails lately, so I forgot, but I will try to include that. And
Todd?
Yes?
Jeff Hammerlin here, just for a moment. I am going to send you an email about the Rhodes Scholar piece. So you concerned me when you said don't send emails to you because I don't know how else to reach you. So shall I say?
No, that I asked for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you want, we could stay on you can hang on a little bit and we can maybe set up I'll just send you my calendar, but send me the email and I'll reply so we can talk more about it.
Okay. I have some
some
specific questions, and I'm gonna actually send you the package so you can see what we've got so far.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's very exciting. Yes, and it's not a categorical don't email me, everybody. You know, just be judicious, and if you don't need my, you know, me, send it to someone else.
I need your help to get us connected with the project drawdown people. They're not responding to my requests, and so and if you can help me there, I would really appreciate it.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. It's very, their time is very hard to get. And when I get it, I use it so we'll see. Let's talk about it some more and we'll figure out what connections are. I'm very worried about Ask going their way because they're already.
Well, we're trying to help them. we're going to give them money. I mean,
well, that usually gets more
it's
attention.
a partnership between Scholar and Project Drawdown. So we're using their book.
I'm surprised they didn't answer you then.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? I think, I know Ann had a song she wanted to sing, but maybe we'll save that for Wednesday, Ann. The next ADD meeting. Ann Haas. The art team is working and they've come up with various things that they want to share with us along the way. Oh, there you are, Ann.
Yeah, you told me the 23rd.
Oh, okay, good. Well, then that was the right idea.
At the beginning, because it's much better if everybody's going to sing. It's kind of like a prayer or a theme song.
Okay,
and
wonderful.
Short. It's very
great.
short.
Well, thank you, everybody. You're all incredible. I'm extremely impressed and encouraged by this team. You know, there are no guarantees of where this road's going to lead, but we're going to try and we're going to keep pushing and we're going to add value added and we'll see. I get nervous trying to, you know, give hope where I myself don't know if we have hope, but we got to hold on to that and keep working, and that's all we can really do. And the fact that all of you are here with your expertise and experience is like, it just makes me feel like we're on the right path. So I'm very grateful. And with that, we'll conclude our official meeting. And if you want to hang on a little bit for some, you know, chit chat, please do. Thank you all so much.